Greetings, hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's so nice to be back and shooting another video for you guys. I'm just feeling peaceful, inspired, and happy to be chatting to you guys. Without further ado, let us get into today's topic. We will be chatting about emotional independence, but as it relates to emotional detachment. One of the tips I gave in my emotional independence video was to master the art of detachment. Those two things are fundamentally interlinked, I believe. I like to take a three-pronged approach to my emotional independence, right? There's the individual, which is mostly what I spoke about in the other video, which is I am mine before I am ever anyone else's, right? It's about understanding what you actually want from the external and giving that to yourself so that you don't have to look for it in other people. But you can watch the other video if you want more information on that. Then the second prong or part of emotional independence for me is figuring out a balance for healthy interdependence, right? So not codependence and not hyper independence, but interdependence. And then the third prong is mastering the art of detachment. And all three of these are interlinked. So to start, I wanted to talk about the relationship between emotional independence and the law of detachment. In order to achieve some semblance of emotional independence, no longer seeking validation that is outside of yourself, you need to practice detachment in multiple areas of your life. That includes detachment in your career, detachment in your personal goals, detachment in your love life or already existing interpersonal relationships, and detachment in your finances. Those are just three examples. We'll talk about those a little bit later when I give some examples on how to practice detachment within those areas in your life. What happens when you practice the law of detachment? You pivot your thinking from future thinking or past thinking, and you live in the present. You live in the now. When you live in the now, you are no longer making up stories about what could be and what was. You are rather prioritizing divine connection over unhealthy attachment. And when you are no longer unhealthily attached, you are emotionally independent. You are not attached to the outcome of a relationship or the job or the money or that specific goal that you have. You rather live in the space of experiencing what is now. Your emotional state is no longer based on what could be or what was. It's based on the feeling and the presence of the now. As per usual, I have my notes here, and I wanted to define the law of detachment or emotional detachment so that we all are always on the same page. You know, that's my vibe. That's how I go. Okay, so detachment is about separating yourself or your emotions from the outcome of your goals. So it's about separating your self-worth from a particular outcome, because then you're living in the future and not the present. What happens when you start to practice emotional detachment is that you are surrendering control. What does the law of detachment do for us? The law of detachment stops us from having unreasonable expectations out of ourselves and out of other people in our lives. We stop having unreasonable expectations for our job to be the one and only thing that's fulfilling, for that person to be the one and only thing that's fulfilling in your life. It stops you from taking the hard knocks very hard, because you know that those hard knocks are just a part of your journey and they are not you. It stops you from seeing failures as failures, but rather as another stepping stone in your journey, instead of you being attached solely to the outcome. Emotional detachment has multiple functions in our lives, but it also stops us from, frankly, going quite crazy. Think about this. If you obsess over whether or not someone's going to call you, they should have called you, you went on a date and it should have been like this, you went on a little get together with someone and they just didn't act how you had envisioned they would act, that is a mental prison that you don't want to live in. I mean, it's a poor example, it's a poor illustration, but we live in mental prisons that are self-induced. And by practicing the law of detachment, we allow our emotions to be what they are. We allow ourselves, again, to be in the present. And most of all, we allow other people and situations to be what they are. Do you know what I'm saying? That is the function of emotional detachment. But how do we do this? Okay, I am going to give you some examples. Let's say you are a working individual, an employed individual. What happens when you practice the law of detachment in your professional life is that you exhibit a sense of patience and effort, and you put in effort because you want to, not because there is a specific outcome that is attached to it. That is to say, you aren't expecting a next step to look like how you think it's going to look like in your career, right? It's about patience and effort without the attachment to what may come as a result of that patience and effort. Something I read that was really helpful is that we should apply for every opportunity that comes up and network with people that might assist us on our goals, career goals along the way, but not expect to get every job we apply for, and know that the right one will manifest itself when we are truly ready. Okay, let's say you're on a date, first date, second date, third date. What you're doing is projection. If you've decided that this person has to be the one, or they have to call you now, or they have to be the person as you have shaped them in a box in your mind that isn't truly what the situation is. However, when you practice the law of detachment, you put yourself in the moment by truly enjoying the date. You savor that connection that you are making in the now without forcing it to become something that it isn't, and without projecting your past wounds onto the situation. When you practice the law of detachment, you lean into the deliciousness of the now, no matter where that relationship is going to end up. And I know that relationships are a sensitive topic in this regard, because control feels like you're doing something. For a long time for me, in my codependent era, I've gone through a hyper-independent era, codependent era, all the eras. But in my codependent era, for me, control was me putting effort into the relationship. So it was very deceptive. The idea that I was the idea of surrendering felt like I was doing nothing to love the person. Whereas the truth is, by surrendering control, you are allowing love and freedom into your own life and into that person's life, and you're allowing each moment you have with them to be what it is. Think about why so many people will meet their partner their life partner or whatever, after a proper dating detox. What happens is you're not jumping into any relationship just because you don't want to be alone, or because your friends are in a relationship, or because it's the right time, or you're very lonely, whatever. You are rather letting the universe work on you and your own personal development, and letting the energy you give out as a result to be what attracts the right person in your life, right? You know, it is a little fruity tooty, that like airy fairy spiritual stuff, but in my life that has showed itself to be true over and over again. And so I wanted to put that in as an example through my own personal experience, and I don't think I'm alone in that. When I think about the law of detachment in finances, I can definitely say the more and more I would stress about money, I would go into a scarcity mindset and a sort of lack mindset, and like the thought there was no abundance. And so it's not that I would attract scarcity. What happens is you start acting in line with your thoughts. You are now attached to the unhealthy idea of money. You are attached to this concept of lack of abundance. You are using all your energy to worry instead of using all your energy for joy. When you use all your energy for joy, which is a manifestation of emotional independence, what happens is when you are joyful, you are relaxed. When you are relaxed, you can think better in terms of solutions to problems. That is factual, scientific information. I am not joking. So when it comes to detachment, financially, I'm not saying now you must just go spend and abundance mindset, good vibes. I'm just saying the attachment to the scarcity and the like stress about it, and the thought, if you direct energy in that way, you are going to live out that way. It's not that something is just going to come to you or someone will come steal all your money. You are just going to start acting within that vibration energetically. The truth is, emotional detachment and my emotional independence comes from trusting the space between where I am and where I want to be, and not fussing about the road that will get me there. When I fuss, I fight, I resist, and I make life really hard for myself. But when I release, it's almost like I get divine guidance on the right step to take next. You get this divine guidance or intuition or logical thinking. We all call it different things, but you get this internal compass that you can follow in order to reach your goals, to love better, whether that's loving yourself better or loving others better, to be able to save money and use it wisely, but also use it luxuriously and deliciously. When you emotionally detach, you become a better partner, you become a better friend, and you allow things, I've said it a billion times in this video, but you allow things to be as they are, which I believe is how we were always supposed to live, you know. I'm going to go on a quick tangent here, but I feel like social media and just society as it is now, very general terms, I know, but it forces us to sort of try and rush life. Where are you rushing to? Where is there to go? Imagine you fulfilled all of your wildest dreams, done everything by the time you were 25. Like, what would there be left to do? For real, like, would you just be like hella bored for like another 50, 60 years? No, guys, just relax, detach, be emotionally independent, love yourself. Don't worry about the how and the minutia. Just go with it. Just relax and be good to yourself. Oh, if you got to the end of the video, please will you comment your 3 favorite emojis? Right now, I'm back at the genie, guys. The genie is really nice, but because it's been raining a lot, I've also been using a cloud with all the rain coming out. So genie, rainy cloud, genie. What are your faves? Or you can use my faves because I love it when you do that. Bye. And yes, my hair is a lot blonder.